the main reason we're here today is to talk Colorado politics. So let's go through and take a look at some of the elections that were near me and the Denver metro area. Okay. So we have Douglas County, which is south of the Denver area, Denver city area. Say as the 2020 census is about 357,000 people. There's a few different city center areas. Highlands Ranch is where I live on the north side. Roxborough is this beautiful park, and we also have this shared reservoir. Castle Rock, Parker, Lone Tree, and Castle Pines are these other kind of like main areas, and I think Pinery is one of the more recent ones. We are in a shared county, and some of the Castle Pines is its own city and has its own like city elections, but certain things happen at the county level, like school board, some other elected positions, county commissioners, that dictate a lot of what's happening. And this year we had a school board election where the results were positive, but the elections are at-large elections, meaning this whole area votes. And so typically you run as a slate of 4 candidates who have shared ideology and help live in the different areas. Often there's a slate of 4 running against a slate of 4. It's maybe harder to take over if they weren't at-large elections, because it's a 7-person board and it goes from 4-year terms of 4 candidates and then 3 candidates. When you get those 4 candidates, they just like kind of come in and take charge. And because it's an at-large election, it's not like those are actual like the needs and voices of those different areas. There's like areas of Castle Rock that maybe have more conservative leaning voters that can like weight that vote. And Douglas County overall is mostly, it's like 50-something% independent or unaffiliated. And then it goes more Republican and then more Dem. I think it's like 33 and then like 27, more or less a few percentage points. It is my kind of neck of the woods and is one of the most like affluent counties. Like obviously that's not going to be every household, and but it's like there are some areas that have like multi-million-dollar houses, and I think it makes our politics a little interesting, some of these areas. But yeah, the conclusion so far is the more progressive, the candidates with education experience are winning in all these elections, but yeah, I guess they did an update about 6 hours ago. We'll see if it updates, but percentages wise and numbers wise, why a lot of these races get declared is because even if there's still more votes to count and be looked at to see if like the signature matches the kind of like the historic signature, which is sometimes why like certain ballots take time to vote, to look at. There could be some other reasons as well, but you wouldn't expect it to come as like a waterfall of certain candidates. You would think that percentages would mostly hold, so you're not getting like 4,000 vote swings in like a certain direction. So that's why a lot of these are called. But for example, this one right here, this is what, 33 votes. These don't really say like percent counted, it just kind of tells you that where voter turnout is. So it's hard to know for sure on the sometimes you have to do something called ballot cure, which they're unsure if the ballot was filled out by the person who is supposed to fill it out. And it's normally because of like the signature looks different. And so you have to go take that ballot and you get a group of volunteers to go look, and you like have them sign or do some type of paperwork that says, yes, that is my ballot, and then you take it back and then they count it. I guess the other interesting Douglas County shout out was did want to vote for part of feeding children, and actually this is the part where it's like if you make over $300,000, it's a tax for helping feed healthy school meal program, and does 52%, does 66,000 people live in households that make that, or are these just people who aspire, or like have people in their life that make that much? That's such a high income category. Like, I guess it's 2 or 3 incomes, but even 2 incomes, it's like very interesting. But you know, coming in clutch school board, voting in the people with experience, amazing. Look at this next area of Colorado, Aurora. Aurora's like, yeah, this area kind of north of Douglas County. The C470 line is where Douglas County ends. And you can kind of see it's kind of weird shaped. There's like this area, or I guess this is not Aurora County, this is Aurora, the city. It's a home rule city located across different counties. And it's weirdly shaped, and that's mostly because I think Denver's weirdly shaped. And like, so as a city, it is split up into different wards, and there are some at-large elections, but then there are some of these that are just like different wards. And like I said, as a city, it goes across different counties. So this is like Arapahoe County, which is most of Aurora as a city. It has like the weird carve-out areas. But it's missing the top part of Aurora. This area that kind of stretches and fills up space between it and the airport. So we have these different wards. And so we're looking at some of these local elections, and we're gonna go through this article in Denverite about what's happening, and we're gonna look at some of the election numbers. It was last updated 2 hours ago. I think it's 6 conservative down to 3 conservative, and the more progressive group is going to have the majority, and I believe the mayor is still also conservative. But the numbers change. Her warnings about Venezuelan gang members drew national media attention. Eventually led Trump and others to falsely claim that Tren de Aragua had taken over the city. It's a sea change for Aurora. We're going from having 7 conservatives and 3 progressives to 6 progressives and 4 conservatives, says council member Allison Combs, a self-described leftist who was not up for re-election this year. And again, we've won all the seats. It's hard to imagine we would win all the seats given results in past years, which have been from mixed results to almost a sweep by conservatives. Conservatives had a major financial advantage in the elections but could not capitalize. Drinsky reported raising some $258,000 for the election, far outpacing Jackson and Andrews. Jackson raised about $20,000 and Andrews about $50,000. An independent conservative group, Building Aurora's Future, also raised nearly $400,000 to spend on Drinsky and others. In comparison, the left-leaning group near Colorado raised less than $10,000 to support Jackson and other candidates. Our council has gotten a lot of attention, often negative, for their conduct, their statements, their positions, and I think that really woke up a particular part of our community, Combs said. And this is where the election's at. And this is a little bit more about that legacy and connection to Jurinsky and what happened with the gang rhetoric that they was a part of last year. But she has connections. She works for the ICE or the private prison facility. It's like, I don't know. And so, interesting. So, she's trailing right now. She's likely to lose, and she raised 5 to 10 times more. It was a at-large ballot, and so you got to pick 2, bubble in 2 names. She's trailing by thousands of votes, and it looks like I was taking a look. It seems like ballots are down when compared to past years, so there may be some more ballots to count. When we look at some of these numbers from here compared to 2 or 4 years ago, but I mean, they're comparable, and so again, you wouldn't expect them to fall heavily in favor of them to turn these percentages around. I guess we're seeing that. We're seeing this here. We're seeing this in New York, that like large outside money, it can have like an impact, but you can keep up and perform well on a smaller budget depending on the race. But yeah, Aurora is interesting because it is a very kind of large area, and the Aurora Reservoir, there are some people looking to frack the areas kind of where, near the Aurora Reservoir, and in this area. So with the city council change, we can see potential futures when it comes to the private prisons in the area, as well as future oil and gas drilling and what is able to happen here. And then we had some progressive people win in Westminster. So the whole kind of Denver area, some areas like Denver, Jefferson County, I don't know as much about. Each area kind of has their own local politics. But in 2 of the battleground areas of Colorado, Aurora and in Douglas County, we're seeing purple areas lean blue. These are very much purple areas in that there's such a large amount of people who aren't with a political party. They're independent or unaffiliated, or can be swayed on certain issues, or depending on the positions. I want to stream more. I'm still trying to figure out my flow. Different parts of my life, setting goals, moving towards progress on different projects. I'm going to try to find a balance of producing and planning, and then working on the editing side, working on outreach to people, trying to get support on some of these different projects, and also working to catch up on rest. I can kind of feel at times kind of like tiredness, definitely tiredness, and I think when I got back from vacation, I got immediately sick, and so I felt extra behind playing catch up and helping out with local politics, and I was definitely doing my best, and showing up for community, different spaces, but this news I'm definitely finding hopeful, inspiring, energizing. But I also know I need to take that time for rest and figuring out what rest looks like for me. So thanks for watching and checking out a little bit about my neck of the woods and how politics is doing in Colorado. See you later.